Well, it is a lazy Sunday afternoon here in the Masai Mara in Kenya. We've just caught up with Miale and her nearly adult son as they lounge about being lovely and lazy on this Sunday afternoon. The young boy's head is up. He's staring longingly at the zebras and Thompson's gazelles in the distance. But they are still quite full from this morning. Just decided to come see how they were doing. Now, of course, cheetah have a very, very fast metabolism, so they might still hunt. Unfortunately, we've had no luck in locating the 5 male cheetah. My name is Brent Leo Smith. I have Adrian on camera, and you're on your very own live, privately guided safari. Now, remember, if you want to ask us any questions, use the hashtag Safari Live on whatever platform you might be viewing us upon. Now, as I say, it's Sunday afternoon here, and it's very nice and relaxed. There's a cool breeze blowing in from the south, but as I said, there are quite a lot of animals around where these cheetah are. We've got some zebra in front of us. Now, zebra probably a bit too big for these two, but as we keep going off to the right, there's almost the most ideal sized prey in the Thompson's gazelle. Now, there are some little Thompsons there, but as I said, the cheetah are quite full. So there's a small chance they will hunt. Remember, all predators are opportunistic. So if one of those little gazelles happens to wander a little bit too close to where the cheetah are lounging in the shade, they definitely might attempt to have a little hunt. Now, we're probably not going to spend too much time with Miale and her son, because I'm still desperate to find those 5 boys. So I'm going to go have a look for them. If we have no luck with the 5 boys, then we will definitely come back to where she is lying. I think if she does get moving, it's probably going to be quite a bit later in the afternoon. What's the time now? It's 3:30 our time. So if we have no luck by 4:30, 4:45, then we'll head back to this area to see what these wonderful cheetah are up to. But at the moment, they're looking very, very relaxed. The young boy has popped his head down using his foot as a pillow. He looks very comfy. Isn't that beautiful? Lovely to see cheetah where cheetah should be, out in the wild. You can probably hear the wind. It's coming through in gusts at the moment. Oh dear. It seems like I'm having a few problems with my communications. I don't seem to be able to hear final control, which is quite strange because we have not moved an inch and it was working perfectly 2 minutes ago. One of those strange things out here. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to head a little bit higher up the hill, and hopefully I'll be able to get Megan's comms back. But we know where these guys are, so we're going to go look for the 5 boys and then come back to them a little later. In the meantime, let's go across to Muddy McCurdy, who's got a feathered friend.
We have a feathered friend sitting very far away. It was the only animal that wanted to stay with us to start the sunset safari. But we've also got the grass, and it's blowing around quite a bit this afternoon. Hopefully it's going to blow some of this terrible weather that's building in the distance. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Taylor McCurdy, and on camera with me today is Cutthroat Craig. I almost said a different nickname, but that one's just for camp purposes. Now, as Brent has already told you, this is a live and an interactive show, so we look forward to chatting to all of you today. Remember to hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. You can also talk to us via the YouTube chat. Right, let me... Now, I'm trying to think what our plan... That's really... Sorry, I'm now going... How am I supposed to put my car into gear with that flap? That's not very practical. I'm not in my car. Brent has stolen Mila from me, and I'm in Brent's car. And it's interesting to drive. Firstly, Craig had to help me move the seat because I was so far away from the pedals that I kept stalling the car. It was lots of fun. Now I feel like I'm too close. So we'll see how this goes today. It could be quite interesting. I haven't really got much of a plan other than hopefully popping past some of the elephants in the marsh. I think that's where we'll try and start off. Maybe the jackal pups will be out on the road. Okay, they were always good to see. And I think we might try and end at the hyena den. How does Brent keep this car on the road? I don't know how he does it. I mean, look how my head, that's the steering wheel should be up there, but if I right, so we'll probably head towards the marsh. I think that'll be our first thing. Sorry, I believe there are a couple of black screens. I actually cannot take my eyes off of the road. I'm too nervous in this car. It kind of has like a mind of its own, and when it wants to, it just sort of goes that way and it goes this way and then it goes that way. So I don't know why it's doing that. It's just quite interesting. Now, Mishka, you're wondering what time does the sun usually set? Well, when we're down in the triangle itself, we often see the sun just falling behind the Olololo escarpment, anywhere between 6:15 and 6:20, somewhere around there. But when we climb up to the escarpment, it's actually still quite high in the sky. So when we're in camp, the sun normally sets at about 6:45, I'd say, 6:50, somewhere around there. And but when you're down in the triangle, obviously it sets a little bit early. It gets darker quicker because you've got the big escarpment that then covers the sun. So it just depends on where you are, really, that you'll when you'll last see the sun set. Right, let's carry on. So very exciting that Brent has got cheetah to start with. We've got absolutely nothing at the moment, but I'm not surprised. Unfortunately, this area that we have to drive through is kind of a dead zone. Nobody is feeding around here anymore, and there's no point for them to be grazing when there's lovely lush vegetation and all the fruit down near the Mara River on the Diospirus trees and a few other trees. And then of course all the elephants and buffalo are hanging around in the marshy sections. Whereas a few months ago, everybody was spending a lot of time in the forest and up on the escarpment and then grazing just below it, really. So yeah, so that's just how it goes. I can't drive this car. I can't stay on the road. This is dangerous. Now, I'm so sorry. I'm going to try and stay on the road. I'm going to have to go very slowly and kind of watch where I'm driving. Sinak, you're wondering. You're too scared to look around because Craig, you have to tell me when I'm going off the road. No. Megan, I don't feel comfortable driving this car. I think I'm actually going to have to come back and get Pucker. I really don't think that this is a good idea. That the fact that this car won't go where I'm wanting it to go. So I think I'm going to start turning around. And we are going to go back up the escarpment, Craig and we're going to get Pucker. Because I'm actually going to refuse to drive this, as it is not safe. But we'll go back slowly. Sorry, everybody. So sorry, Sinak, you were wondering about the jackal pups and if there's an update on them. Well, probably not, since the last time I went looking for them and saw them the other morning. So no, there's no update on them, unfortunately. But maybe we'll get one a little bit later. They're not always around though. Sometimes they are out chasing after grasshoppers in the grass and not on the roads. So it would be nice to see them. We normally catch them out early in the mornings though. Everybody, I'm so sorry. I do apologize that I can't turn back and look at you all the time as I'm driving. But I do need to try and head back and do this switch as quick as possible. Yeah, we're definitely not going into another gear. I'm just going to cruise home like this. So I shall look at you every now and then, but you'll just have to enjoy my ponytail bobbing as we go about until we get into Pucker. Yeah, so now we're driving back through that very quiet area, unfortunately. There weren't even many animals up on the escarpment, I'm afraid. Normally there's lots of zebra, eland around. Not so many elephants anymore. A couple of Duggar boys that rest up in the wallows, but even they've moved on. So I don't know if they're feeding just down below the escarpment where the Angamas aka the Angama Olololo lions, that big pride of lions. There's a marshy section just sort of down below. We often see elephants there. I think the buffalo may have moved down there too, and perhaps the zebra and the impala and waterbuck. I mean, why wouldn't you want to go there if that's where the best food was? That's what the animals will do, just constantly moving around. Well, we're just going to keep driving. If we see any birds, of course I'll stop for them, but there don't seem to be many. There are a couple of widow birds every now and then. They dive into this tall grass. This area is really not good for game viewing at the moment, just because the grass is too long and then there's not much around. So when there is something, it kind of just disappears. That's why we try and move away from this area as quick as possible. I mean, I think the last sighting I had here was the other morning. It was the Angamas, and that was kind of it. And then prior to that, it's been a couple of days since we've had anything around here. There were a few giraffes. This is really I don't know what's bent that's making this car do this. Tom, you're wondering when the wildebeest return? They should start coming back in June, July, probably closer towards July. However, Brent seems to think that, that he started seeing that large group of wildebeest that sort of hang back in the northern conservancies around the Talek, maybe between Musiara and the sort of the Talek area. So, which is quite nice. So at least we still get to see wildebeest. There's 7 that live up here on the escarpment. They seem to be doing alright, avoiding the lions, which is good. And you know what we have seen coming back though is the zebra. They're big herds of zebra down in the western corner of the triangle, sort of between the Serengeti and the Mara Triangle, all moving up this side. There were a couple at Lookout again, big herds of them. And that's it though, no wildebeest. But again, they've still got to give birth and then they'll slowly make the journey back up here. But we haven't had much rain. Last night it rained a fair amount. It feels like at one point we were going back to when I first arrived in the Mara, where it was, every afternoon was a massive thunderstorm. And then it would just clear. We don't have one just yet, but I think there's some big clouds brewing that's probably going to turn it into a bit of a thunderstorm at some point. No, don't go. I'm sorry, I'm reminding myself that I must slow down, otherwise I'm going to end up in one of these gutters. And we don't want that to be happening. I don't think Craig would be very happy with me if I did that. Alright. Finally, Brent has managed to find some communication. I'm going to try and get home and as quick as I can and swap cars. So while we do that, off we go across the Mara River to see where Brent is.
Well, we've just chatted to a guy who says the 5 boys were supposed to be exactly where we just were, but I think people are getting confused with Miale and Son. But I've just spotted a lioness now in the distance. I'm just going to try and find a way to get closer to her. So I thought maybe people are getting confused about which lugger the 5 boys were on, so I checked that one. Now I was checking up here, and they're likely to be too close to where their lions are. Why are you lying out in the sun, lioness? And of course this is a pride that's got quite a lot of cubs at the moment. Okay, let's have a quick dash down there. Oh, that's lost sight of her. I'm sure we'll find her when we get there. Probably just lay it down flat. I wonder if they've got a kill around here. There's a buffalo. Oh, there she is. Is it a her or is it a young he? Looks like a her from the distance. Oh, so you got to watch when you drive through the Mara. You see certain spots that could be potentially very sticky. Hello, big girl. What you doing? Just lying out here in the open where everyone can see you? Now, as I said, there's quite a few cubs in this pride, but they're probably stashed in the lugger somewhere. Maybe she got a bit peckish, went off on a solo hunt. As I was saying, I don't think the five boys would be too close to where the lions are hanging about. We all know cheetah try avoid lions at all costs. But I've got a suspicion, I think I know where they might be. Oh, we've got lots of options today. Hello. I don't think she's going to have much luck hunting this time of the day in the short grasses. And unfortunately, where we are here, there seems to be a radio gremlin. So Megan sounds like an alien from the planet Z79561. Is what I'm getting in my ear. But unfortunately, we're not going to stay with her for too much longer because I can't hear final control. From Megan again. Okay, let's move on. But we might come back down past this area as it gets a bit cooler. So we've got plan B and C. Plan B is Miale and Son. Plan C is the lions. Plan A is still the five boys. So I think they might be up on this ridge here, on one of these little ridges here in these croton thickets. So that's where I'm heading. I'm going to have to head up the hill a little bit so I can hear Megan again. There we go, I've got Megan back again. It's amazing, about 2 meters of difference can make an incredible difference with our comms. So there we go, let's get back onto the road we were on. So Sinak is wondering, how long do cheetahs sleep for? Well, it all depends on how hungry they are. Normally, as soon as it gets really dark at night, they'll bed down. No, termite mound. They'll bed down and sleep through to about 5 the next morning. So a good 10 hours or so, and then probably another good 5 or 6 hours during the day. So they can sleep up to sort of 15, 16 hours a day. It all depends on what's going on, whether they're hungry, whether they're mating, whether there's been a territorial dispute if other males have come into the territory. Oh, that is a cheetah-like stump there on the horizon. But it is not a cheetah. Okay. So I have followed the boys through this area before, but they don't seem to come this side as often. And I've checked their normal haunts, no sign, so definitely time to check this side. Now, Bear is wondering, why are there so few trees here? Well, it is the Masai Mara, one of the largest open grass plain ecosystems in the world, well, the Serengeti Mara combination. Lots of different reasons. The soils are very, very thick and clayey, but over the years, the influx of fire, human beings, grazing, and 1.6 million wildebeest keeps the trees down. The elephants also make a big dent in all the trees, and it is, as I say, one of the great sort of grasslands of the world, the Masai Mara Serengeti system. Okay, I'm just going to do a quick loop around this thicket. And then I'm going to head towards those gardenias over there. So you're going to be stuck with me for a while because Taylor doesn't know how to drive my car apparently, so she's gone back to change cars. I hope she hasn't broken my car on the first day she gets to use it. I'll be very, very disappointed. So the reason I'm not in my car is that we have a thing called a DC-DC charger, which charges the batteries that power the camera and the antennas while we drive, so we don't need to plug into a electrical point all the time. And unfortunately the DC-DC on my vehicle stopped working a while ago, and the replacement is still in Johannesburg, so it's on its way up. So I had to take Mila because her DC-DC is fully functional. I am missing Kitu, however. It's got a lot more power than this car. Okay, so we're just going to do a quick check around the edge of these croton thickets. It looks like someone else has done that today. Our proud cat mama would like to know, are rainstorms an advantage or disadvantage to hunts? Well, it depends. If it's absolutely pelting down, it can be a bit of a disadvantage to the cheetah. They are affected as well, but the prelude or to the storm can be very, very good hunting weather for the cheetah, and the fact that they can take advantage of the high winds and little bits of rain, and especially gusting winds that can confuse the prey species. And also just after a storm is also quite a good time for cheetah to hunt. Now, as I said, we're just going to check all these thickets on here before we go across to the gardenias. Cool guys wondering how fast can cheetah run. So there's a bit of debate about that now. Previously it was thought to be about 110 kilometers per hour at their top speed. However, that was quite a long time ago that was measured, and maybe the stopwatch was not as good as the ones we have today. So probably not quite as fast as that. Somewhere between 90 and 100 kilometers an hour is a more realistic sort of top speed. But who knows, maybe there is a cheetah that can break that speed. Okay, so no sign of them just yet. There's a nice gardenia. We know how the boys like a good gardenia. Okay. Now they could be under any one of these bushes here. Let's hope they're hiding under this particular gardenia. Doesn't look like it though. Let's have a quick look. Oh, you never know what's under a gardenia. Sometimes there could be lions or... Tweety is wondering, is all of this land privately owned? None of it is privately owned. This is the Masai Mara National Reserve. It is owned by the Maasai community, and it is run by the Narok County government. So it is not privately owned land at all. Okay, we're going to keep on the croton thicket search. So basically, from this morning, we've been systematically writing off croton thickets. Not in that thicket, not in that thicket, let's check the next thicket. This is where they spend their days, lying up in the shade of these thickets. But so far, no luck. There's an elephant skull. It's the only thing we've seen in the thicket so far. A retired elephant, long retired. There we go, a long retired elephant, very old. Now, oh, hang on. No, unfortunately not. Now, most likely that elephant is retired from old age. Unfortunately, it's a bit deep in the thicket for us to go have a look. Where to next now? Bear is wondering, are all the bushes and trees here old, or do they just grow slowly? Bear, some of them grow slowly, some of them grow fast. Quite a few of them will be snacked upon by things like elephants and giraffe, which will keep them small. Croton bushes, they're not a tree, they're a bush. They don't actually grow big, and they are also pushed around and smashed by ellies and fed on by black rhino. So some of the trees can be quite old. Most of the trees in this area are just not fast growing. Oh, they are fast growing, but they don't grow very big. Okay, let's go check the next set of gardenias I was talking about a bit earlier. So the last place I saw them before I went on leave was around here. Dory is wondering, how big is the territory of the five boys? Well, they don't have a set territory per se, but rather a home range. And I would say their home range is probably around I'd say their core home range is about 4,000 to 5,000 hectares. But that's the sort of core they utilize the most. But their whole home range is probably over 10,000 hectares, so over 20,000 acres. So when they move out of that core area, it can be quite a challenge to try find them. Now, if you take that in comparison to male cheetah in the greater Kruger, so on Djuma or the Sabi sands, your average male cheetah home range there is 60,000 hectares, so 5 times bigger than a male cheetah's home range or a male coalition's home range in the Masai Mara. And that's all to do with availability of female and foods. So even though in the greater Kruger there is a higher population of cheetah than in the Masai Mara Serengeti ecosystem, yes, I did say that, there are more cheetah in the greater Kruger than the Masai Mara and Serengeti combined. However, they spread over a far bigger area. So over that 2.4 million hectares, or 2.8 million hectares if you include the private reserves. No, not under that gardenia. I thought this was going to be our lucky patch here. Oh, dearie, dearie me. No sign of the five boys. where to next? Let's just go here, along here for a little bit, check these last few croton thickets. Oh, well, there we go. Secretary bird striding out towards us. So most of the secretary birds are sitting on nests at the moment, so the other partner might be on a nest while this one's out looking for food. And there's some Coke's hartebeest in the background. So the secretary birds will feed off large insects, rodents, snakes, lizards. Oh, there we go. Thought it saw something there for a second. And with snakes and bigger lizards and that, they'll use their powerfully long legs to kick them to death. You might have found something. What do you got there? Oh, oh, oh. Oh, I think something might have escaped and gone down a hole. Unlucky for you, secretary bird. Stopping for a little bit of a wing clean. Well, Dallas says he calls this the dinosaur bird. Oh, there's some topi there as well. Well, that leads me to believe that the five boys are definitely not in that last little thicket I was going to check. So someone was asking if a croton thicket is a tree. Well, it's a bush, as we spoke about 5 minutes ago. And if we go up a little bit behind the secretary bird, there you can start seeing some croton thickets. To the left, please, Adrian. There we go. That's a croton thicket. So that's where the cheetah generally will spend their day lying up, and so do the lions and leopards in this area. Okay, well, no sign of the boys there. So, where to next? That is the question. How are we doing for time there, Adrian? I was going to say, we want to be back at Miale around, if we don't have any luck with the five boys, we want to be back with her at the latest 4:45, I think, in case she does get moving and start hunting. So I hear Taylor is still in camp trying to sort out vehicles, so it'll be a while yet before she joins. Well, there's another vehicle. Let's see if we can get any more misinformation about where the five boys possibly could be. Now, quite often we rely on lots of information. We've got to try to sift through what is correct and what is not. Okay. I'll say hello and find out. So Ed, yeah. Hi. Good, thanks. How are you doing?
Very well.
Any luck?
We've done well this morning. Got lions over there by Talak at the hippo pool area.
Yeah.
There was a cluster crew of cars.
There's another one, lioness, just down here, yeah.
We went to cheetahs this morning here.
Which, the five?
Well, they actually were, there's a sixth one with them.
Aha. So was it here?
Just down in that little drainage.
Aha.
It was off-road.
So that is a very different story from where I heard they were.
Okay.
Okay, so that's good. Okay, that means they're not going to be too far from here.
They're in this area.
Alright.
Yeah, literally just down this way, but it was off-road, so we didn't...
There's a female and a young male much closer to Hammerkorp in the Croton thickets, just to the left of the lugger.
Cheetah?
Yeah.
Nice one.
but okay, I've checked those thickets. Okay, that's good news, everyone. We now actually have a confirmed sighting. We're not dealing with misinformation as we do. So we're actually broadcasting live at the moment.
You work with Jay McCurdy, yeah?
Yes, McCurdy is actually on drive, but in the triangle.
Yeah, nice one. I'll tell her I said hi. We've connected on Instagram, but we've never met in person.
Okay, cool. I will do so. What's your name, sorry?
Andrew.
Andrew, Brent, and that's Adrian.
Hi, guys. Where are you based right now?
While we're this side, we're based at Olashaki. Just outside Talek, upstream from base camp.
All right.
Yeah. And yourself?
We're just camping at Crocodile Camp at Tulloch.
Oh, cool. Well, I might pop in there after drive this afternoon. Okay.
Yeah, we'll, I mean, they're not far, huh? I don't imagine they would have gone far from this area, so. How far have you checked up this way further?
I've checked all those thickets up there, but I haven't checked this side yet. And then there's a lot of topee and stuff this side, so it must be up here. So, good luck. Cheers. There we go, guys. We've got some confirmed knowledge now, not hearsay like we've been dealing with over the last little while. Okay, so that changes where we're going to go. I think we're going to duck around the back of this hill. We're going to actually go back where we came from and start checking up towards the crest. And then if no luck there, maybe just down here. So they were right here. Now that's good news. We're in the right zone. There you go, let's take that road. Have I lost you, Megs? Are you still there? Megan is still there. So there we go. Okay, now there's a good chance they're not going to be far. So apparently there was 6, so that means there's a female there. Caitlin is wondering, can wild animals ever get worms? Caitlin, almost every single wild animal already has worms, especially the predators. They are riddled with them. Okay. Fighting off the flies. So now I'm feeling a lot more confident now that I actually have genuine information from someone who's actually physically seen them. So we've got another nice gardenia coming up here. Lots of flies at the moment. So what we do is we'll check a bit further along here. And that's where we had that big herd of topee and a hartebeest. Greta is wondering why do the gardenias like the musketeers? Why do the musketeers like gardenias so much? Well, Greta, they're nice prominent trees out in the open where they can leave their scent. So here's a gardenia here. Unfortunately, a gardenia devoid of musketeers, but a gardenia nonetheless. Oh, a gardenia with a lappet-faced vulture nest on top. And that's quite common. There's quite a few gardenias with lappet-faced vultures nesting on top of them. But the musketeers like them because they're nice prominent trees to scent mark and they offer very good shade throughout the day. Okay, now let's keep on our musketeer mission. Now, especially if there's a female around, this could be quite a lot of pandemonium. Well, I wonder if we've got another situation where they've cornered old poor Mooj. Old Moogie again, or Moogie. Charles is wondering how big can cheetah coalitions get. The 5 are the largest ever recorded cheetah coalition. So as far as I know, they can get as big as 5. No bigger has ever been recorded. Okay. Nothing here. So let's zoot around. Again, checking the thickets for a bit of shade. We're going to slowly eliminate every croton thicket in this area until we find them. MS is wondering, do predators do less scent marking in the Mara due to the lack of trees? They probably do more scent marking due to the amount of rain that falls. So they need to redo their scent marks more frequently than the ones in the drier parts of the world. So no, they don't need to scent mark on a tree. It's just convenient to scent mark on a tree. You can scent mark on a termite mound, you can scent mark on the ground. So it's just convenient to scent mark on a tree. Now, so if we get no luck, we've done a sort of an outer perimeter search. If we get no luck here, we're going to go down into those little sides to see if they are just right there, hiding in the bottom of the lugger. But I think we're going to have to wait till Madam McCurdy is back out before we can do that. I thought I saw a track there. Nope, hyena. Ground's quite hard. Tom is wondering, are there any predators here that eat the bones of their prey? Of course. Lions will, leopards will, cheetah will on very young prey, but of course the king of the bone crushers is of course the spotted hyena, who are able to crush very big bones, much bigger than what lions and leopard and cheetah can. Where are you hiding, musketeers? I will find you. Okay. So we got the last few little thickets up on the ridge here to check before heading down into the luggers. This road goes back to the Gardenia we were at. Now, of course, if there is a female and she's running, it could pull them quite far. But I don't think that far. Okay. This is a good spot. Now, lovely Laurie's wondering what happened to Mugi or Muji or the male cheetah that the musketeers surrounded quite a while ago in December. Well, he escaped and I have not seen him since. That's all I know. I know he got away from them, but I haven't seen him since, and I haven't heard of him since. He probably moved towards Naibosho, if he knows what's good for him. No, not there. Okay, it seems like Taylor has managed to change cars and she's got down the hill, so let's go see what she's up to.
What an adventure. Thank you, Brenty, for holding the show there. There are some olive baboons, but they're running away from us now. There's an entire troop around here, but they don't seem to be too lax today, so perhaps we'll carry on then, if they don't want to be seen. So we've had all sorts of things happen to us. I was bitten by an assassin bug when I got into this car. That was a lot of fun. My leg is so sore right now. I'll see if I can show you the bite spot at some point. I hit it, slapped it against my leg, and then stomped on it about 100 times, so it's dead now. I killed it. I murdered an assassin bug after it bit me, and I don't feel bad about it one little bit. That has to be one of the most painful bites I've ever experienced. I've never been stung by a scorpion before. I don't know how I've managed to avoid it all this time, touch wood. However, it feels like 10 wasps have stung me at the same time in the same place. It is horrible, and the wound takes ages to heal. I don't know if you remember, I was bitten. It's now the 4th time I've been bitten. The last time I was bitten was Craig and I were out for a full night. We were sitting with the Maji Machafu female leopard down near Purungat Bridge, and I was trying to be quiet and sit still. I think Craig was recording something, or it may have been Craig. Do you remember that hyena white-tailed mongoose encounters sort of we had as it was late after the show had ended? It could have been then too, and he was trying to record, and I was bouncing about because something bit me on my leg, and then it bit me higher up on my thigh, and then it bit me on my hand. I couldn't work out what was zapping me all the time. Craig thought it was hysterical. He was laughing his head off. Eventually I figured out it was an assassin bug and also killed it. But the bite on my hand took about 4 weeks to heal before it completely went away. So it was quite interesting. I sort of have a little scar now, but I wonder if it's going to be the same with this on my leg. But I shall show you at some point what it has done to me. It just sort of kind of looks a little bit like a mosquito bite. It sort of swells up a bit. But yes, it hurts 150 times worse, unfortunately. So we're going to try again. At least I can now look at you and drive. It's quite nice. No more veering off of the road. Little bit of play, but you know, not anything we can't handle. So I think we will still try and quickly say hello to the elephants at the marsh. We've obviously got to go all the way around, and then we'll eventually come back, and then we'll maybe go to the hyena den. Although I don't even know what time it is anymore, so I hope we're going to have enough time. I'm just going to stop here. 4:20. Okay, we'll have to rush, but we can do it. I was just going to say, there's a giraffe walking towards us who has a very, very white face. And I don't think it's because he's old. I don't think he's going grey. I have seen a couple of giraffe out here in the Mara Triangle and the Masai Mara National Reserve with very, very white heads. Don't know, has he applied a lot of sunscreen? I'd imagine they get sunburnt. No, I'm just joking, that's also not true. I suppose it just has to do with genetics and their coloration. He's not a particularly dark male, he's not a young fella either. So just like I suppose we get male lions with dark manes and you get male lions with blonde manes, it would be the same thing. It just depends on what genetic coding they have in the coloration department that would determine how dark they go. And there's an oxpecker just sitting off to the side of his head. At first I thought it was a growth of sorts, but then it moved and opened its wings. I can't tell you which oxpecker it is. It's just a bit too far away to see if it's a red-billed or a yellow-billed oxpecker. But we typically see more of the yellow-billed oxpeckers out here, and very busy. giving us a good old stare. But that's interesting. You see how the colours just fade? Very, very white and then slightly lighter. And you can see the lower down on his back and towards his legs, those markings do get nice and sort of chocolate brown. So you can see that he is a mature boy. And he's muscled up. Look at that neck. He's in the prime of his life. He's a lovely specimen of a Maasai giraffe. And so tall, towering over all those trees. Haha, that's because he's standing on a hill. He's climbing the escarpment. Isn't that beautiful? Still a thick haze though. No rain building in that area, so those aren't actually clouds back there. Behind those trees is that's the Mara River, of course, and then Brent is in the Masai Mara National Reserve. You can't even see it. Normally you see for miles and miles. But not since this bizarre weather. And we've had so much rain, and everyone was saying once we have lots of rain, they think that this will disappear, but it hasn't. It has not one little bit. Where are you off to, boy? Trying to figure out where he's going to go. Now, Philip, you're wondering how often does it rain here? Well, it depends on the season. Now we are, I'm just trying to think, what are we in now, January? To remind myself that it's already halfway through the month. So we shouldn't be too much rain now, but we have been getting quite a bit of rain at night. Not for very long, maybe for 10 or 20 minutes, and then it stops. And then that's it, and then the odd afternoon shower. But yeah, so we had the short rains, which was now from about November. We actually had more rain when I first arrived. So September, October, November, it poured with rain most days. And then we had a bit of a break where we had a week or two where we didn't see a drop, and we saw the Mara change colour, and it went slightly yellow. And now we're back to having a bit of rain every now and then in the evenings. But, you know, not the big downpours we were having at the end of last year. It's sort of stopped. I'm just we'll carry on now. Let's go back this way. So, I think, just trying to think, because of the rain we had last night, I don't want to drive some of these roads that lead up to the marsh, because I know that they can be a bit sticky. And there is a lot of black cotton soil around, which makes it even harder for us to drive through that. So I'll try and go the easiest sort of route. So I might do what I did the other afternoon. We won't be seeing all of the marsh. We won't be checking the areas where the lions that I love, those two girls from the Marsh Breakaway Pride, hang around. I don't think we'll go that far. We'll just try and cut a little corner, do a quick loop, and then go from there and see how it goes. Now, Emma, you're wondering why is the grass long in some areas and short in others? It purely comes down to the animals haven't been grazing around here. We see a couple of giraffe. They don't eat grass, of course, they eat leaves. And we see some of the animals that graze here, but not in huge numbers. And then also, I think it's got to do with the type of grass that's growing around here. A lot of oat grass, and it does get quite tall. So let's use an example. For instance, east of us, you know that little section I love to go and visit where I say one day we're going to catch that leopard? That area, you've seen, the grass is so short, it matches the grass on the other side of the reserve. And I haven't seen any of that oat grass growing there, or herringbone grass. You see more like sort of shorter grass, like couch grass. I don't know if it's kikuyu grass, actually, what this really, really nice green stuff is, the short stuff, but that seems to be growing over there, and that doesn't typically get so tall. So it will depend. And the animals that are responsible for flattening this would be the wildebeest, the zebra, the elephants, and the buffalo. But if they're not around, of course that grass is going to just grow and grow and grow and grow. Remember how we talk about... Sorry, I have no brakes in this car. So now I'm trying to get out of 4x4, but I have to wait. There we go. That's a bit better. Remember how we always talk about how animals know if they stay in one area, they'll overgraze that area till there's nothing left, and it'll take a long time for the area to recover. So it's amazing how we just sort of see them moving around. But we've got lots of animals coming up from the Tanzanian border now, moving back up north, and everybody seems to be going to that pocket in the east that I was telling you about. The last few days that I've been driving, there's so many zebras, so many topi, Thompson's gazelle, no wildebeest unfortunately, big herds of buffalo, 100, 150 buffalo. There were two different sets of them, and down that way the other day. and quite a few elephants too. So yeah, so they're doing a great job at keeping that grass nice and short. Right, let's pick up the pace and head to the marsh and hopefully find some elephants. Oh my goodness, you know what, Brent, you've done an amazing job today. You've been driving around, searching for cheetah, and finally you got your wish. You found what you've been looking for.
We have. Now things get confusing because there are not 5, there are 6. Now we're going to try and work out who's who in the zoo. I think the one right at the back underneath that little bush, that looks a bit smaller. No, the one with the head up, I think that looks like a female. There, that one. I'm not sure. That looks to be a bit smaller than the others. I'm not 100% sure. The only one I can see, and also with half of them being quite flat, it's very difficult to say who's who in this zoo. But we're definitely going to wait it out here to see what happens, especially as it gets cooler in the afternoon, to find out what happens. Now, outside of a female and cubs, I think this is the most cheetah I've seen in one spot, 6 cheetah. And it brings our cheetah tally for today to 8. Isn't that incredible? 8 just this afternoon we have seen 8 different cheetah. See, that looks like a female right at the back. Oh, and oh yes, Megan just reminded me, also saw a lonely lioness lying on top of the termite mound. There we go. I think she's gonna, is it another male? Is it a female? It's difficult to say. Is that one of the musketeers? Is it not? You guys, please help me if you've got ID shots. But I think that one looks to be not one of the musketeers to me. Also looks a little bit more alert, like might possibly want to get away. But the behavior now is definitely looks at. Is that a female? I think it could be a female. They're trying to. Is it a female? Just look under the tail. It is. It is a female. Look at her trying to sneak away. Trying to get away from the boys. And immediately. There we go. They're up. Just come wide. Wide. Quickly wide in case there's action. There we go. Stop there. There we go. Hear that calling. Look at the 3 of them going to smell where she was lying. So she's either... Oh, listen to the noises she's making. About to come into estrus. Or she's just very unlucky to encounter 4 boys who are slightly excitable. 5, sorry, boys who are slightly excitable. You see how she tried to slink off there at the moment she moved. So can anyone ID which female this is? Tom is wondering, could this be a way to find out who the dominant male is? Yes, Tom, it could be. It's going to be quite interesting to see what happens. Now, we've seen them interact with another male, but this is the first time I think we've seen them interact with a female. Now, most cheetah mating actually happens in the dark during nighttime, and unlike the other big cats, oh, she's complaining. Unlike the other big cats, the mating is not nearly as frequent. Only 5 to 10 times in a 24-hour period, as opposed to lions and leopards that mate every 15 or 20 minutes. Wendy would like to know, would the males hurt her? It's unlikely, Wendy, but if they do get a bit excited, they might bat her about the ears a little bit, but it is unlikely that they would hurt her. Cindy says 6. Oh my goodness, this coalition never fails to surprise or entertain. That they don't. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens as it gets cooler. So it is quite difficult to get an ID on her while she's got her head down in the grass. Hopefully she stands up again. We can get a better sort of broad side of her. Shame. She looks quite young. This is amazing. 8 cheetahs already this afternoon, and we're not even, or just an hour into the afternoon safari. Oh dear. Oh dear. There's someone who takes driving lessons from Ralph or Taylor in the background. You see that there? Oh, he's stuck. Is he going to get out? Uh-oh. Oh dearie me. Oh, well, we might have to give him a hand. Well, hopefully he gets out by himself. If not, we will go give him a hand. Oh dearie me. Well, the cheetahs have all calmed down, all gone flat again for a little bit. Melanie is wondering, do male cheetah have barbed penises like lions? Indeed they do. All the cats have barbed penises. Lion, leopard, cheetah, domestic cat, African wild cat, serval, caracal, African golden cat, black-footed cat, jungle cat. What other African cats? Sand cat. There we go. I think I've named all the African cats. Let's just do that again quickly. Lion, leopard, cheetah, caracal, serval, golden cat, jungle cat, sand cat, African wild cat, black-footed cat. I think that's all the African cats. Don't think I'm forgetting any. Yes, they all do. Ah, he got some assistance from someone else. So he is out of the mud. There's quite a lot of mud around here, so you do have to be quite cautious when crossing these little luggers. Francis from Israel is wondering, why doesn't she just quickly run away? Well, because she'll be quickly chased by 5 males. So that's the reason she doesn't. And also running away might get her into a bit of trouble. They might react negatively. You never know what's going to happen, so that could be the case. they might just have a negative reaction to what she's doing. Now, it's unlikely that they would hurt her, but they might, as I said, give her a few cuffs around the ears. But remember, we can't look at things from the human perspective. These are wild cats living out in the African wilderness, and life can be quite tough. Well, we're definitely going to play the patience game here to see what happens next with this lot. While we do that, let's go back across to Hurdy, Birdie, and sometimes Muddy McCurdy.
I feel like there are many different things you could say about my name, Brent. It's quite a cool surname in that, well, I suppose just having the MC part. McMuddy, McTumbler. What else, Craig? You go, you get one chance. Think of the best thing ever. Craig's frozen. I feel like the gremlins got him and he just pulled the face. Yes, but we're edging closer and closer towards our goal of finding elephants and starting to see a lot of the elephants building up. Now, we're just going to have to find a road. And you know what's really interesting about the elephants is when we first noticed that they were heading towards the marsh and spending less and less time on the escarpment and in the forests, is that they were right up against that tree. You can see the tree line. It's so far at that bright green patch. They were right up against the forest. Now, they've moved so much closer as if they're almost in the next few weeks going to finish feeding in the marsh and moving back to their old spot again. It'll be interesting to see. I know what I should have done is I should have taken note of the day or the date or, you know, at least the month when we started seeing the elephants building up at the marsh. It'll be quite interesting to see how long they're, you know, spending time there and then where they go next. So we can try and, you know, over a year, because can you believe it? It's almost been a year that the camp in Mara has been up and running. I think it's pretty spectacular. So it would be quite nice to see if their movements are the same every year or do they change slightly depending on I'm sure it will be dependent on rainfall as well. Now, I've seen a variety of things. I'm going to stop here very quickly and try and pull off the road because there's some southern ground hornbills. Try level for Craig. Oh, a little bit skew, sorry Craig. But just off down over there are some southern ground hornbills. There we go. You can see them just moving down into the grass again, also just disappearing. Just two of them though. There's a family of about 3 or 4 that we see on a regular basis, and they move around. But I'm also impressed with the amount of southern ground hornbills that are in just the triangle alone. Now, I'm not exactly sure on their numbers, however, but it is always good to see them. I feel like we see southern ground hornbills more often in the Mara Triangle than we do in the Sabi Sand. And I'm quite confident in saying, in just my experience in the different places that I've got, this is most certainly the most southern ground hornbills I've ever seen. I don't necessarily think it's the same family that we're seeing. I mean, they can cover a huge area, but like these are just 2 here. And they both look like adults. Well, there doesn't seem to be any more in the grass there. And they're not feeding. They're just sort of standing still. It's a bit hard to decipher as to what they're doing in that long grass. And they're quite far off-road in a non-off-roading area. But always a good bird to have a look at. Now you can start to see a couple of the elephants. But there are some elephants just up ahead. So why don't we make our way towards them? I think it would be very, very nice to get closer. Seeing as though our plan is now starting to all sort of fall into place after a couple of obstacles. That's one thing. If any of you are wanting to be guides, and it's something that I've had to learn, of course, still learning, practicing it, is patience and how to deal with situations. Because the amount of times on safari, not just here at Wild Earth, from all the different places that I've... What did you see, Craig? I looked back at camera, hang on, and Craig went like this. Like, you know, if you were given flashcards and you were given the different emotions, happy, sad, surprised, Craig did that face. I don't know if it was because of what I was saying, or he doesn't know how he did it either. He's just great. That was really great. I think we need a cameraman presenter cam as well, so that you could see their facial expressions through the whole thing, because that was actually too great. I'm so sorry, I got very distracted there, but I wish you'd all had seen that. Now I've completely forgot what I was talking about. Oh well, but that's fine. I'm sure I'll come back to it in a minute. We've got some buffalo, and it's one of my favorite things to see, because it's the cattle egret sitting on the back of the buffalo. Now I feel really bad because there was a Serena vehicle that tried to stop next to us with those southern ground hornbills and have a fat conversation, but I had to wave them off very sadly. I'll try and catch up to them and have a chat to them again at some point. Oh my goodness, this is a McMuddy buffalo. You should have my name. Look at this girl. She's covered her entire body in mud, and she's just managed to keep her nose clean. That's impressive. Talk about a full body mud mask. She's got that going on. Although I feel like it's a trend amongst the buffalo in this group. And I'm also not surprised, because when you do go to those marshy areas, it's quite sludgy. There's some really nice wallows there. And you can roll around in them and coat your body in mud. Very cool. And also nice to see all the cattle egrets. As well, so close. A couple more flying around. And I'm still waiting to see the cattle egrets sitting on top of an elephant's back. We'll get it eventually, one day. Someone will take a gamble. But look at that. So here are all the buffalo that I was telling you about as well. This isn't a massive group though. There must only be about 30 or 40 buffalo here. And not uncommon again to see them in the marsh. Oh, you know what? There's a whole lot sitting down. You see those ones, Craig? There's actually a few more here. I lie. Maybe there's about 50. I've just spotted them now. Completely camouflaged and at quite a distance, and there are all the elephants I was telling you about. So we're getting closer, and that's what I love about a safari, and the fact that we've got these most amazing cameras that can zoom in the way that they do, because it's really quite nice to see something from so far away and eventually, you know, get closer to your goal. I don't know about you, but I quite enjoy the chase of approaching animals. There's a big elephant bull flapping his ears. A couple of herons in between the elephants too. Not so many egrets out in the marsh today. They all seem to be hanging around in the grass with the buffalo. A couple of waterbuck. It is honestly a great variety. So I feel like if you're having a quiet drive, you should come here to the marsh. Now, Katie, a question about the buffalo that we were just looking at. You were wondering if their horns keep growing for their entire life. And I think to an extent, really. Remember, the older an animal gets, the slower the growth rate. Obviously, while they're young, they're growing very, very quickly. They can't stay small for too long, otherwise they are a target to predators. But I think their horns get to a point where they eventually not quite stop growing, but it's not really growing, 3 or 4 centimeters every couple of months or whatever it is. But I'm just trying to think with big buffalo bulls. Yeah, I reckon that once they reach sexual maturity, so maybe when a buffalo is around 10 to 15 years old, their horns won't grow any longer. But I've also never been able to continuously keep measuring a specific individual to see how long that happens. And I wonder if anybody's ever done that. It would be quite difficult to do it with wild animals, but a place that they could test something like this to see if their horns do continue growing and how the growth rate slows down from when they're young. It could actually be quite an interesting study. I don't know if it's been done before. But remember how we always talk about down on the coastline of South Africa. So the Eastern Cape is typically a quarantine zone, so there's no buffalo with foot and mouth disease or tuberculosis. They're disease-free, and we have chatted extensively about how expensive those animals are and how it's become a trend to breed disease-free buffalo. Now, a lot of those buffalo aren't living out in the wild like this, in the sense that they're lions and leopards and all sorts of other creatures. They'll be on small, fenced-off areas, 10, 15,000 hectares where they're allowed to graze. Probably find they feed them up a little bit too. And in that case, you'll have a good chance of picking out an individual that can't, move right out of the area. There's fences, so they're kind of stuck in one spot. And well, you'd have to dart a buffalo, because I doubt there'd be any willing buffalo, regardless of how much human interaction they have. You've still got to be very careful of these creatures, and then you'd be able to measure their horns. Yeah, maybe I'll have to have a look on the interweb tonight to see if anybody has done that already and followed the process of an individual right through until sexual maturity. Be something quite interesting, I think. Michael, you're wondering why do the cattle egrets ride on the buffalo? Well, they're not using the buffalo as a perch like a lilac-breasted roller would or a starling would, and we see, especially the lilac-breasted roller, actually let's just use them as an example because they catch insects on the wing. I mean, they can catch them in the sky, they can catch the insects down on the ground, whereas the cattle egrets typically move along next to that animal, hoping that as that buffalo walks, some grasshoppers jump out and towards the cattle egrets, to try and get away from the buffalo, not realizing that there's quite a few beaks ready to strike and catch those insects. So I don't know if it's maybe they're conserving energy, moving from spot to spot. I think they've just worked out that it's quite nice up top there. And like I said, the lilac-breasted roller, when they're sitting on the backs of the zebra, and which we've been seeing quite a lot of lately, you see them, they're very, very focused, and then they'll swoop down and go after an insect. But we don't see that with the cattle egrets. They're purely using them to get from point A to point B, which is still pretty impressive. Like I said, it's something that puts a smile on my face. You cannot be sad when you see oxpeckers jumping around on animals, lilac-breasted rollers sitting on zebra, or cattle egrets riding on one of the most dangerous animals in Africa. They're very brave. Right, we're going to move closer to those elephants that we spotted a little way away. Brent, however, I'm still sitting with those cheetah, and it's quite interesting to see what happens. Are the Fast Five going to let that girl get away?
Well, D'Artagnan is still right next to her. The other four have moved off slightly, and they look like they're quite well fed, so they're not too hungry at the moment. So it's going to be very interesting to see what they get up to. Now they've started, maybe they've got a bit bored of her, well, some of them at least. But as I say, it's going to be very interesting to see what they get up to next, whether they're going to abandon her. Hopefully we will be able to get an ID on her at some point quite soon. Clifford's got a humdinger of a question. Where was the first cheetah discovered? Well, like lions, cheetah have been known since ancient times. They were kept by Indian royalty and Arabian royalty as hunting pets for many, many years, well before the dawn of Christianity. The ancient Egyptians used to use them for hunting, so they've been well documented since ancient time. There have been cheetah kept in the Roman court that were captured obviously in Arabia and Africa, and up until the 1900s, cheetah occurred in India as well. So that they've been quite well known like lions since ancient times. So to say when the first was discovered, I'm afraid I can't put an exact date on that one. But yes, they've been well known for a very long time. Ancient Greeks knew about cheetah. Of course, as I say, ancient Egyptians used to use them for hunting. So the Romans knew about them. I'm trying to think. They've been used by people for hunting for a very long time. So they've been known. Before Christianity, they were well known throughout the world. But a good question there. The Lorax would like to know, if the coalition made a kill, would they allow her to eat? Probably very little. I think she would probably have to really get stuck in with the rest of them if she wanted to get any food from them. So probably not would be my answer. They sort of seem to be in two minds. There she's up. Look at that. Let's get a closer look on her side now. Oop. Oh dear, that's a first. This hoot has never worked a day in its life till I bump it with my knee. Okay, let's keep out a bit wide. We want to look at her legs and her tail. So let's say a bit wider. There we go. We want to see if we've got any diagnostic marks. So, for example, Imani's got a scar. I can't remember whether it's on her left or right side. But there we go. That's a much better view of her. Now, as I say, I'm not sure who she is. Hopefully she gives us a better view. I'm just going to drive forward a little bit so we can get a full side view of her. Now, who are you, madame? So I'm trying to see if she looks like quite a young female. No, don't lie down. We need to look at your side. She's found a spot in the shade there. Where has D'Artagnan gone? I can see 4 of them. I'm sure he's around, just close by somewhere. So I'm going to try to figure out which female this is. We managed to get some side views of her and see what happens next. See if she tries to escape now that there's a bit of space between her and the boys. While we do that, it seems like Taylor has found her elephants.
We have indeed, and we've got nice and close to them too. When we're on the road, they're kind of just feeding in this direction, and they seem to be quite happy with us. They haven't showed us any signs that they're unhappy, which is surprising, because these cows have got very young calves. You can obviously see the one underneath Mom's legs is much tinier than the other one. And when we arrived, it was fast asleep in the grass. We didn't even notice it, but we arrived and it jumped up and then went and stood next to Mom, and it does look a little bit tired. And when you are this young, probably only a few weeks old, maybe even a bit younger than that, maybe a week or 2 old, it's tiny, tiny, tiny. You do get exhausted and you do need to sleep lots. So it isn't uncommon to see a young elephant sleeping in the grass just a little bit away from Mom. Mom will, of course, keep a very close eye on it. So don't be alarmed. But the fact that it can still fit right underneath Mom's belly says a lot. Come on, little one. You're so sweet, nudging up to Mom like that. You can go back to sleep if you want to. She'll wait for you. And she will do exactly that. There's no need for her to move around too much. There's so much green grass. So what will typically happen is if the little one is just resting up in the grass, literally Mom will just feed in circles nearby and not go too far. She may even fall behind from the rest of the herd. And I think she understands and that it's important that that little one rests. It'll take a bit of time to build up the strength, to keep walking, to get used to the long hours. Remember, elephants don't sleep for very long. If they're lucky, they get 2 hours, 3 hours in a day. Some elephants go for, 48 hours, 50-odd hours, 70-odd hours without any rest at all. But I suppose that also just depends on what conditions are around. And as you can imagine, if there was no food around, they would have to move for longer periods of time without any rest in order to get to better grazing, to find water. But out here, I feel like they can have a lot of rest. Hey, big girls. You don't look tired around the eyes. You all look fine. But it's a lovely group of elephants. Now, another reason why I'm actually surprised that this herd is quite relaxed is that there was a musk bull that was moving through. We'll meet up with him. Well, hopefully we won't meet up with him a little bit later. We're heading in that direction, though. And they can be a bit boisterous. Now, Clifford, you're wondering if African or Asian elephants ever share the same land? No, there's no Asian elephants out here in Africa. There's just the African elephants. It would be interesting, though, don't you think, if an African elephant and an Asian elephant perhaps crossed paths somehow? I mean, the only thing that I could think of that something like that would happen was perhaps in a zoo. But even then, they would keep the same species. Well, together. I don't think that they would mix African and Asian elephants. But I actually don't know what would happen because I've never seen an interaction, and I probably will never see an interaction like that. There are so many. There must be about 200 or 300 elephants out here. There are big family groups moving through. And it is lovely. There's actually not too many clouds in the sky today. It's a nice day. Surprisingly, I thought we would have seen a lot of them swimming, splashing around in mud, but maybe they're waiting to save that for a little bit later, just before the sun goes down. All just grazing about at the moment. And, you know, another interesting thing, because I always tell you about the things that I think of, I wonder how many times an elephant will reach down and pull up grass and put it in its mouth in a minute. I wonder if we could try and test something like that. Obviously, you would have to do it on a lot of elephants for a long period of time to try and get an average. But again, I think that would be quite an interesting study, especially with the elephants of the Mara Triangle, just because there is so much grass around you at the moment and they're barely stopping to take a breath. It's incredible how they're able to do that. So that's something that I've been wondering, and perhaps on the long days out, I will start trying to work out how many times an elephant puts food in its mouth within a minute, and what it is. Is it grass? Is it shrubs? Is it fruit? It would be very interesting. Another study. Sorry, a little tickle in my throat there. Please excuse me. A few egrets flying around. There's a couple cattle egrets amongst the elephants, but not too many. Now, Proud Cat Mama, a great question from you this afternoon. You've asked, at what age does an elephant learn to use its trunk fully? Well, because there's so many muscles in that trunk. That's another question I'd ask an elephant. There we go, the little one sitting down again, I'm going back to sleep. Is how many muscles do you actually have in your trunk? Because the varying answers that I've read in books is outstanding. So I've read 10,000, I've read... Oh, right. I'm going to very quickly send you across to Brent.
Well, the boys have left the female. We'll come back to her. She's making this chance to get her escape, but it looks like they saw some baby warthogs, so hold on, I'm just trying to get into position. They just took off, and I was on the wrong side of the lugger. So let's see what they're going to do now. So we always want to put ourselves where the action's going to end, not where it starts. I think it was warthogs. I can't see now. But yes, there is a baby warthog, but it's far too far away for them now. Even for a cheetah. That warthog is making good its escape. Okay, but they're going for it. They think they've got a chance. Okay, let's go live with action, please. Stick on the front cheetah. Welcome everyone live to the Masai Mara in Kenya. We've got 5 male cheetah chasing warthog at the moment. The warthog have disappeared into a little river system, but the boys are still on their way. Now, we're going to have to probably move shortly. That warthog were just ahead of where that lead cheetah is now. We're following 5 males. This is 100% live, coming to you from Kenya in the Masai Mara. Okay, the warthog disappeared in there. Okay, let's get a bit closer. So while we get a bit closer, my name is Brent Smith. I have my friend Adrian on camera, and let's see if these cheetah have any success. Hold on. It looks like they might have been unlucky and the warthogs managed to get down their hole, but we're only going to be able to find out when we're a bit closer. So So the warthog's disappeared just in front of us here. This male cheetah is very hungry. He hasn't given up just yet. You can see how he's jogging on the edge of the little river system where those thickets are, trying to spook the warthogs out. There were some baby warthogs with them, and I think that is what he was after. This is a very exciting, remember, 100% live. Well, hello Yasmin, who's watching all the way from Pakistan. And Yasmin, can you believe that a couple of 100 years ago, there used to be cheetah in Pakistan? Okay, they're going to go in now. They're splitting. Some of them are going right down into the river system. The others are staying out on top. Okay, let's see what's going to happen. Here come the next three. Now, this is the largest ever recorded coalition of male cheetah in the world. 5 of them. Now, cheetah males live in coalitions. Okay, let's get a bit closer to see where they go. Now, cheetah males live in coalitions normally. You do find single males, but if there's more of you, you have a better chance of maintaining a great area like this and having lots of girlfriends. Now, they might give us the slip here. Oh, dearie me. Even in my fantastic 4x4, I think this big hole is a bit too much for me. And they've all crossed here. Let me just have a quick look, see if we can drive through here. I don't think so, though. Oh dear, the cheetah have given us a slip. I'm going to try head across to the other side to see if we can catch up with them. Remember, we could go live at any... Okay, so the go live notifications, but if you just want to keep up constantly for the next few hours, just go onto YouTube, type Safari Live, and you'll find us right there. Oh wait, no, hang on, they're chasing. There we go, they're going after the pig. They caught the baby pig just behind the bush. Oh my goodness. Now, this is not for sensitive viewers. That screaming can be very, very disturbing. Now, sometimes female cheetah. Well, there we go. That's the joy of... Sorry, we are having intermittent black screens. We are in live from the African bush. The 5 male cheetah have just caught a baby warthog, and you never know what's going to happen. Now, please be warned, this could get a little bit gruesome and not for sensitive viewers. Nathaniel says, amazing. Indeed it is. That's what's so wonderful about following these 5 boys. You never know what's going to happen next. You can see the one cheetah has still got the piglet by the throat, making sure it's dead, while the others are already tucking into their meal. Wasn't that exciting? You never know what's going to happen next out here in the African bush. Okay, as I was saying a little bit earlier, you never know. Going to be enough to feed. So we could go live at any time. Remember, you can join us for a more sedate safari on YouTube. Just type in Safari Live and you will find us taking you on a live African adventure there. From myself and Adrian, goodbye. Whoa, so much of excitement. I'm going to now try find a way across to the other side of the lugger. While I do that, let's go see what Taylor's up to.
How exciting, Brent! Very, very cool. Very, very nice. Now we've moved on from our elephants because we can always catch up with them any other time. We're very lucky, we get to see them every day. And what we are doing is we're making our direction in... We're going where does the sun set again? The west, I think. I'm just joking, of course it sets in the west. So we're sort of heading southwest at the moment. Let's take this road. And we're eventually going to end up on the main river road and then march around and then hopefully get to that hyena den before sunset, or actually before 6 o'clock. That's our goal, to spend a bit of time with them. Hopefully they'll be out. I don't think they were so obliging this morning. If I'm not mistaken, I don't think they did come out. Craig, did the hyenas come out today? No, they didn't. Craig's saying no, not really. He was on camera with Ralph. So hopefully we have a better opportunity this afternoon, because I do know how you all absolutely love spending time with the hyena. And I don't blame you, I also enjoy them, especially with all those youngsters at the moment. They're very sweet and quite curious, and it's also just interesting watching and learning the dynamics between the North clan. I don't know much about this particular clan. Wow, imagine that. Now I just want to show you something. Imagine you were driving around here at night. I'm just going to reverse. And you didn't quite know where you were. Luckily this is a non-off-roading section, so there shouldn't be anybody driving around here off-road. But, right, you know, I don't know if are we going to see it, Craig, if I do this? I'm just going to pull off the road slightly. The grass is so tall. But now imagine you were driving around here in the dark. There is a huge lugger in there. I don't actually know what it is, but it's like the ground is basically just collapsed. It's not quite a lugger, but it's like a mud wallow for a Tyrannosaurus Rex, essentially. It's huge. You can drive straight into that and hurt yourself quite easily. And now you know why we're so paranoid, and why most of the time when we are driving in the long grass, we kind of we stand up like that just to make sure that we aren't going to fall into anything. So you don't really feel too safe when you're off-roading in this long grass, just because of the amount of things that are being concealed. Now, what I'm going to do is we're going to head towards the hyenas. Sorry, I had some flies. Nothing was smelling, I promise. And I'm going to send you down to the Sabi sand, where the Djuma team is now joining us. And, well, Tristan is the first Djuma presenter you're going to see, and you have to ask him about his ping pong tournament.
Well, Taylor, I wish you luck on your endeavours to the hyenas, and a very, very warm welcome to Djuma and sunny South Africa. It is as sunny can get. It is bright, it is breezy, and it is very pleasant to be out on a game drive. Now, as Taylor mentioned, my name is Tristan. On camera today I've got Davy, which is always an absolute pleasure to have on board. And, well, we are going to be trying to see if we can't catch up with Thandi and Cub. So that is the plan for this afternoon. Hopefully we will be able to get some sort of luck with Thandi and Cub this afternoon. We'll have to just try and see. Now remember, it is interactive, so hashtag Safari Live on Twitter or the YouTube chat if you want to get hold of us. Now Taylor, you were wondering about our ping pong. Okay Taylor, well, our ping pong was delightful. Darby, was it delightful? It was delightful. Now, I've got a video to show all of you. For those of you that don't know what we're talking about, today was the Ping Pong Palooza Challenge here at Djuma. And so what that entailed was basically the following. So I'm going to play you a video and you'll be able to see how this all went.
So that is what happened today. So Taylor, it was a very successful event, and you want to know who won? Well, we had a team competition to start, which was the black team. So Davy and I were on the black team with Kirsty and Rebecca and a few others. Who else was in? Eggsy was in our team, and Louise. That's right. So it was 3 girls, 3 boys, and so the 6 of us managed to beat the red team, but unfortunately the overall winner was a member of the red team, and that was James Hendry, and I lost to him in the final, which was a disaster, and you can see there was much celebration after all of that. Right, well, we're going to go and try find Tundi and Cub now after we worked up a sweat in our ping pong challenge, and while we do that I think we're going over to Noel. I'm not 100% sure, but either way it will be one of our members of the Safari Live crew for the afternoon.
It is a very warm, slightly windy afternoon here in South Africa. Tristan, I'm so sorry to hear that you lost against James with Ping Pong Palooza. I sadly was cracking the books today for my practical examination, so I'm glad everyone had a good time. How amazing everyone was that sighting with Brent's cheetah and that warthog. Super jealous, Brent. I hope you get some more action up there. I am Noelle, and on camera I can't talk. On camera today, I have the wildebeest. Wiem, hello, thumbs up. So yeah, we're just plodding along and waiting for it to cool down a little bit. I'm actually in search for elephants. I'd really like to see some swimming elephants today. So we're checking Buffelshoek Dam, and then we're going to head down towards a Chitwa and see what we can find along the way. As you know, Tristan's headed over to see if he can find Tundi and her youngster, and then we're hoping that maybe Hassana pops up over on Chitwa side, but you never know what might happen. Also, maybe Shadow and her youngster maybe come up by Twin Dam, so we'll go and have a look down there. Now, amazingly, our hippo friend is not here in Buffelshoek Dam. I don't know where he's gone or where he could be. Maybe he has decided that he is too lonely and needs to go and try and find some females, or maybe on his feeding out and about this last evening he managed to find a place that just suited him a bit better, but I'm sure he'll be back in a few days. Alright, we're going to go check the corner, because the other thing I would like to see is maybe the wild dogs. They haven't been over to us for a while, and last time that we saw them they moved over a bit east. So as we're busy searching, we're going to send you all the way back up to Brent in the Masai Mara with his cheetahs, who are still busy on their kill, and let you enjoy the spectacular sighting that is.
About that, everybody. Gremlins attacking Brent, but he'll be back with you shortly, not to worry. For those of you that don't know what a gremlin is, it's just a cute little word that we use to describe some technical issues that come with broadcasting out of remote Africa. But anyways, these things happen every now and then. We're driving through the lovely golden grass at the moment, but we are edging closer and closer towards the hyena den, and we're not too far from the river road now. Basically where the next line of trees is essentially where that highway is, and we'll jump on that, and that should take us to our destination relatively quickly, although we've still got a bit of time to spare. What is the time? Almost 5:15 Eastern African time. So yeah, I'm just trying to think. It might take us, I don't know. Again, the great thing about coming on a safari is that you have a plan to go and do one thing, and it can easily change, because you know you bump into something that's even more amazing. So who knows, we might see the Mogora Pride, maybe we come across Scarface and his clan around, not clan, his pride. Speaking of hyenas. Now, Tanis, you've asked, what animal do I think I'm most like? I find this question hard to answer, so I'm going to let you all answer it for me. Everyone says my spirit animal is a lion. I think it's because I have lots of hair. But maybe you guys can come up with something quite funny, and don't worry, I don't get offended easy, so go wild. Hashtag Safari Live, or chat to us via the YouTube chat. And what do you think? What animal do you think I'm most like? Now, Megan, who's directing this afternoon, has just said that she thinks I'm like an arena trogon because I'm most unique. Thank you, Megan. That's very kind of you. I showed Megan an arena trogon yesterday when we went on a little safari parkour. our little exercise and hike, which was a lot of fun. So it was actually quite surprising. We heard it calling, and then ended up being right above us. It was so beautiful, in the only patch of light in the forest too. And normally with Narina trogons is that they're quite shy birds, and they tend to hide themselves away and always turn their backs to you. So you always see the green, which makes them very difficult to spot up in the trees. But we were so lucky. I said to Megan, it's probably one of the best sightings of an arena trogon I've ever had. I have a video, but it's not going to do much for you, unfortunately, because it was up in the trees above us, basically through a hole about that big, and all you could see was the bright red of its breast, and it was just looking down at us, watching us, and we stood there for 5 or 6 minutes just in absolute awe, admiring it. So I don't know if I'm quite as unique as a Narina trogon, because there's something quite special. But thank you, Megan. That was very kind of you. Here we have some waterbuck and giraffe. Typical. Well, the giraffe sort of circling the outskirts of the marsh, the waterbuck jumping straight into it. Let's have a little look-see. Kay, you said I'm like a jackal. Is it because for some reason, every time I see those jackal pups, they run up to my car and circle me? I don't know why that is. I don't know if they do that to everybody or if they just do it to me. I like to think they just do it to me. It makes me feel a bit better about myself. That's quite a good one. I might not be as quick as them, as good as catching grasshoppers though, but I do try. Now the waterbuck, I'm not worried about grasshoppers, however, they won't eat them. They are feeding on all the lovely lush grass in the marsh. And this is how you should be seeing waterbuck. You know, I've missed this. I haven't seen it for quite some time. The last time I'd see waterbuck in marshy sort of areas or wetlands was in Zambia, in the Zambezi National Park. But we typically don't see this in the Sabi sand. Unfortunately, there aren't enough areas where I don't think there are any areas where there's marshes. I'm trying to think. Nope. Not that I could think of. Everywhere that I've worked down in the sands didn't quite have a marshy area. So it is quite nice to see that again. That male has not lifted his head once. Now, this is quite interesting. Well, I find it quite fascinating. I don't know if you remember, a few weeks ago, we were seeing 2 waterbuck bulls in this area. This is the same spot that Brent and I like to do a lot of birding. It's often when we see that malachite kingfisher, just for context. And we had 2 of them having a standoff. Remember that morning? It was beautiful in the golden light. And the other male, not this one, I think was much older, and he had much bigger horns, but he got chased away by this young upstart. And I think that that's quite nice to see, that sometimes it's not always the biggest bull with the longest horns. I suppose it's all about your technique in terms of fighting, and he must have won because he's still here with the same group of waterbuck that we see almost every single morning that we pass through on this river road. So very, very, very nice. It's also the same herd that I've pointed out to you a couple of times. I've said the females are looking quite big now, and their bellies are bulging. So hopefully we'll start to see a few more youngsters popping out. But remember, it will take a week or 2 before they bring them back to the herd, because they'll give birth off on their own and in the thickets. So we probably won't see. Well, we might actually see. Let's count the females. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I can see 9 here. There's no more on the other side of the road. I didn't count how many waterbuck females were here the last time that I saw them. So let's say that maybe 1 or 2 of them have already gone off to give birth, because there was definitely one female that was very, very big. Right, I'm going to send you as quick as I can down to the Sabi sand, because Noel has got an exceptional sighting of a species of mongoose that I have not seen for a very long time.
We just came across this really cool slender mongoose, and he was finishing up the tail end of what looked like a lizard or a skink kill. And now it seems as if he's sniffing around, trying to figure out if there's anything left for him to eat. Now, unfortunately, we just got the tail end of it, and we're unable to put it on camera for you, but it looks as if he's managing to find tiny little bits there. He was finishing off just there where he's smelling and now having a rest, licking his chops from his lovely little meal. And I remember slender mongoose will eat snakes. They're very good at killing and eating snakes. They'll also eat termites and large beetles, and of course now as we've sort of shown you, the lizards as well. Now, he might stick around long enough to groom and clean himself. Most species, or most organisms, I should say, after a meal will do a bit of cleaning, especially if the meal was a larger one, just to make sure everything's still in place. We see it often with birds, we see it with lion and leopard. But it's also true of our smaller mammals as well. There he's cleaning his paws off, making sure to get all the gunk. And it's interesting, he's not too far from us, so I think he's just checking to see what we're up to as well every now and then, just to make sure we don't invade his space bubble. I'm so sorry, I'm tripping over my words today, everybody. I'll drink some more water just now, that will help. As we're driving around, the breeze is even better, but as we sit still, the heat is pretty intense, I'm not gonna lie. Dries your mouth out. Also, this is a good sighting because we don't usually get to see slender mongoose often. Catherine, you're saying how cute the slender mongoose is. Yes, mongoose are cute, definitely cute little species. So there's been a raging debate between myself and a few friends about what are we actually supposed to call a mongoose. Is it mongoose, mongooses, mongai? And then we were chatting with a biologist friend of ours, and he was saying it's just mongoose. But I do catch myself from time to time saying mongoose. It would make sense because you go from goose to geese, but it's just mongoose. All right, fantastic. Slender mongoose finishing up his kill there. We've picked up on a little bit of male leopard tracks, and Vildy and I have been debating about who this male leopard could be. The tracks are rather large. Both of us are sort of hedging our bets towards Tingana, but the problem is these tracks are not very fresh. They're probably from last night, and there's another vehicle that's driven on top of them. But in general, he's heading down this road. So another reason why we're thinking it's Tingana is the fact that because he's sticking to the road and he's going to the inside curves and the way that he's moving, this might actually turn, let me just see if I can find a nice little sequence up here, means that there's possibly some scent marking that's happening, which would mean that it wouldn't be something like Tumba. Tumba is too small for scent marking, and also the tracks are very large. So as we know, Tumba has big feet, but these feet are very big. Sorry, I'm just trying to see if I can find them for you again. I had one back there, but it wasn't the best to show on camera. No, I've lost them a little bit. It's possible that he cut around the curve here. Let me see as we go along if I can find you another nice sequence. Now, on a hot day like today, right now, it would be rare to find a leopard walking around. But that being said, I have friends that work in the Pilanesberg National Park, which is farther west and north from us in South Africa. And it's a park that sees quite a lot of traffic from private vehicles, and something that they've found over the years that they've been working there is a lot of the leopard activity actually happens in the middle of the day when the vehicles tend to be resting, and they tend to find leopards hunting in 40 degrees Celsius weather in the middle of the day, sort of 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. And it's an interesting scenario. So I don't know if there's something else that plays up with it. There's also quite a large lion population that's there. There could be other mitigating factors, but my friends that work there are convinced it has to do with the amount of people that are coming into the park. Now we've got a beautiful kudu that's just up here, who is now unfortunately moving away, and I don't think we're going to be able to get too nice of a view. I think Brent's comms have come back, so let's head back up to him in the Masai Mara and see what he can show us with those cheetahs. Sorry about all those gremlins with him, but it seems to have sorted itself out, so you must enjoy.
Well, yes, unfortunately, when we're a bit closer to them, we couldn't hear final control, but they absolutely smashed that little warthog in no time whatsoever. They ate it all up. It's pretty much done skis now, and I've been trying to check with my binoculars for the female, but I think she's probably made good her escape. I might go look for her a little later, but I'm pretty sure she would have jogged. But unfortunately for her, if she keeps in that direction, she's going to run into Miale. So Miale was in the direction where she started heading off with when the boys started chasing this young warthog. And, wow, if you're a warthog, it's a bad day. If you are a cheetah, it's a lovely Sunday, well, human equivalent of a suckling pig, I suppose. So good for the boys. They'll be quite happy with that. Although I don't think it's going to be enough to sate them. I think they might hunt again just now, but it should keep them a little bit less hungry for a little while. Remember, this is all 100% live, coming to you from the Masai Mara and the Greater Kruger in South Africa and in Kenya. We are sitting in the Masai Mara. Of course, Tristan and Noel are sitting in the Greater Kruger on Djuma. And we've found our spotted cats. Well, we found 8 different cheetah this afternoon. Let's hope that Noel and Tristan can find you guys some leopards to finish off the big cat afternoon, because we have seen lions already. So lions and cheetah, so we're relying on Noel and Tristan to find us some leopards. And Tristan, no excuses today. So not all of them would have got a very good meal out of that. Oh, it sounds like we have a possible ID for the female. James Richard says that female might have been Rosetta, which is Rose's daughter. Now, I've never heard of either of those two cheetah, so there we go. You learn something new every day. Now, it looks like some of the boys are up and about already. That little warthog did not touch sides. Well, some of them are flopping down. Others are on the move. Now, you will see there are other vehicles enjoying the sighting with us. But you can see still quite an empty belly. A little piglet doesn't go far when there's 5 of you. Now guys, I'd be heading the other way. There's a lot more game where I came from than across this side. Now, are you going to plonk? Or are you going to keep walking? That is the question. I've got a feeling they might plonk for a little bit. Or maybe not. Wasn't a very long chase for them, so they wouldn't have utilized too much energy catching that little warthog. How's that for simultaneous sitting? Choreographed. Let us plonk our bottoms at the exact same time. Now, D'Artagnan, the greedy guts that he is the last to leave what is left of that little war. There he is, striding towards the others. And apologies, we are right on the edge of some of the signal. We're really down low in a river system, so hopefully the boys keep heading up and away towards a better signal and comms area. They normally do at this time of the day. They move out of the low-lying areas up towards the crests, following the prey species, which normally do the same. And you can probably hear it's quite windy at the moment. Next, what are you?